Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to The Chat Down. We are back today again with Fraser, as always. He won't fuck off. Yeah, so today I want to start this one off with a little bit of a special message. As we are recording this, it is, of course, Remembrance Sunday, and we would like everybody to join us in listening to Fraser read out a poem that he wrote for Remembrance Sunday that he read out in church, so that we can remember the heroes that protected this country and give us the world that we've got now. So Fraser, take it away.
I've called this Remembrance. To all them brave men and women, we give thanks for all you have done. You laid down your lives so we could have freedom. This was done as an ultimate sacrifice. It was the darkest of times, but you were a shining light of what people could do. You never gave up. You never backed down. Out in the trenches in foreign lands, in the field hospitals, in the ammunition factories, and working the land. You did it for our Queen and country and fellow man. I tried to put into words, but I fall short of what should be said. So I'm saying thank you. You will always be loved and never forgotten. And that is to all the brave men that gave their lives for us.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Fraser, and thank you all for listening and sharing that moment with us. I'm aware you will have all done your minute silence, and that is why we didn't add it into this podcast, and we wanted to share at least something with you guys. So yeah, rest of the episode. So how you been, mate? What you been up to? You've been up to these 2 weeks?
Work. Spent some time with family, but work.
Yeah, same.
It's just been a very busy time.
Well, I'm growing extra limbs, as you can see on me now. I've decided to turn into a mutant and try grow some extra limbs. So if this starts pulsating, it's just the arm trying to get out. But yeah, man, I've been all right. I've been chilling. I've been kind of self-reflecting on myself a lot these past couple of weeks. Realised a lot of things going on in my head. But if you follow my personal stuff, you'd see that anyway, and you'll see some of that come out on podcast at some point. But there'll be more about that in upcoming days.
Yeah.
My mic boom arm's got a bit funny. But yeah, on the topic of like remembering people and that, did you hear about the Travis Scott incident?
Yeah, absolutely horrific.
Astroworld, they were absolutely mental with that. So I only found this out because I was sat on TikTok, and my girlfriend was sat beside me. She went, "Oh, have you seen this stuff? What's happened at this concert? What are you on about?" I've been at work for like forever, so I don't see the outside world. But so anyone that doesn't know, Astroworld were like a concert for 70,000 people. But I'm assuming people snuck in. I think that's what happened anyway. People had snuck in, and the crowd just got ridiculous, man. And in the end, I think it's up to 8 people died, and hundreds of them were injured, due to obviously not being able to breathe and stuff because of crowd pushing back and forth, and obviously, it's not. And obviously they've passed out, and then people are trampling on them. But I don't know, man. It's like I've seen a couple of videos online. I'm just gonna put this out. I don't know what's. I understand how people can make videos look like something they're completely not.
Yeah,
so I'm not. Right. Whatever I say here is just purely off of what I've seen. I don't know if it's factual, but I mean the guy's getting sued, so I'm sure it is, and he's been done for this type. He's been done for neglecting that in the past in terms of his concerts and that. I don't think neglect's the right word, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of the videos that obviously come out. I just want to get your take on these, Fraser.
The thing is, you go out for a night out, and you don't go out with the expectation that you're not going to come back from that. And there's people that have gone and lost their lives needlessly through neglect and duty of care. You know, they should be aware of what's happened. Things like this have happened in the past.
Yeah, especially the actual people, the event organisers.
Yeah.
But there were some videos that's come out. So there were the big video of that there were people climbing on stage and telling them to stop.
Yeah.
Because someone had died, and obviously they just continued.
That's right.
I saw the video of all the crowd were chanting "Stop the show! Stop the show!" and then screaming "Help!" He did stop the show when an ambulance come in the crowd.
By that time, it was far too late.
And he did stop the show when somebody passed out, which I have seen. So I've seen a lot of things at concerts where people pass out, the person stops the show, and then they do continue. So when you watch that video, that just looks like any generic, someone passing out at a concert. Yeah, it's probably quite normal that.
You go back to the 1980s at Live Aid, there were people at the front being dragged over that had passed out that. So if you go from the 80s to now, that has been a bit of a generic problem.
But yeah, it was just a bit crazy, and it were more, to me, it were more negligence than anything else. Obviously, there's a lot of people speculating that it was some kind of demonic ritual, and I'm just some of them are quite interesting, but fuck me, man, people will turn anything into a conspiracy.
People love a conspiracy, to be quite honest with you.
But the reason I brought that up is because somebody actually wrote in about this subject. So somebody wrote into the podcast about this subject when I put some on Facebook. So again, for anybody that doesn't know, right here, the email will pop up. You can email us at TheChatDown. Any questions you have that you want us to answer, any type of advice you want from us. It can be absolutely anything, a story you want to tell us, or you want to give us some advice, throw it down in the email, send it to us, and we'll get it on the next podcast. But yeah, so this is what was said. Obviously, I'm not going to mention any names due to confidentiality. I don't want to breach this guy's privacy. So this is what we're written. As someone who works in the entertainment industry, I don't entirely blame Travis Scott. Although he didn't help the situation at all, I blame the event organisers. They should have initiated a show stop as soon as they realised a breach had taken place. In Europe, it is common practice to split the arena up into sections with barriers. These barriers prevent crushing and enable security to walk to sections of the arena in the event of an emergency situation, or to hand out water, etc. In this case, there was no such barriers, and it was basically a full empty field, and people tend to push front, hence the crushing. I'm surprised this hasn't been mentioned, but there's also a calculation that needs to be done for capacity, and I'm pretty sure this applies in America also. And if people breach security, technically numbers weren't counted, so the event should never have gone ahead. In the UK, this never would have happened. It is gross incompetence.
Yeah.
So that's what we're written in by somebody that obviously works in the
industry
themselves.
Yeah,
so it was quite interesting. I just thought I'd start off a little bit with that.
Yeah. I feel that it was profit over safety. That far too many people, and if somebody did get in, and who got through the barriers, security wasn't that very good then, was it?
Yeah, they took the show must go on to a whole new bloody level. It completely changed that meaning now. But yeah, I just thought I'd want to mention it and get your take on that. So what's been going on with me? I've been reading. Kind of reading. I've been listening to audiobooks, which is quite cool. Been listening to The Fifth Vital by Mike Malak. I think I've probably butchered his name, but I think that's right. It was a YouTuber that I've watched for a while. And it's so good. I know you've been listening to it yourself. Obviously,
I've finished it.
Have you finished
it off now? Yeah.
The details he goes in about his life and his how he overcome drug addiction and stuff is unbelievable. It's something out of a fairy tale for me. I thought I was reading Alice in the Wonderland.
Yeah. Some of the situations it was actually in that was really dangerous, and then some of the situations it got in during and after that. You can only dream about the things that he did. meeting the people and going to places and flying on private jets just blew my mind.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. But and so one of the things that's actually inspired me to do is I'm actually writing. I'm writing a book, which I'm not going to talk about because I want obviously to do all that announcement and stuff properly. But I've made an announcement already that I will be telling my story next year, my life story. Obviously, I dip into it a little bit when we're having conversations with people about different stuff. But I'm going to be releasing a full audiobook. I'm not going to write it. I'm just going to do an audiobook about my entire life up until now. It's going to be free. I'm not going to charge anyone for it. I'm going to release it straight onto the TheChatDown pages. And, yeah, I'm going to... Well, I'm writing it. So I am writing it. Because obviously I need something to read from. So
You can't freestyle that.
So I'm writing the book, but that'll obviously just be for me to use as a script. To then make it into an audio book. People are saying I should sell it, but part of me just thinks I really can't be asked. If I'm honest, I wouldn't understand what to do, and I don't really want to make profit off of my problems.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Some people think I'm stupid. They're probably right. They think I'm stupid for not trying to sell it, but we'll see what happens. And if it did come with that, it'd be like a fucking quid. I'm not gonna. Do you know what I mean? I don't need money, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think you should do that.
I don't know about the audio part. Really frightens me reading the stuff because I'm not a big outside reader. Maybe I could get Morgan Freeman to do my voice.
Fraser, you sat on a podcast.
I know. How ridiculous.
What do you mean you don't speak? That made no fucking sense at all.
When you read, because of my dyslexia, I find the whole reading to record, I find that very daunting.
But wouldn't you do it if you had someone with you?
Yes, I would, yeah. Are you volunteering?
I would produce it for you. I would help you. I'd let you come round to mine. We'd use all my equipment. We'll get you set up and we'll record a chapter at a time. That's the beauty of it. You get it written down. You get it all written down, your entire life story. Get it written down in a book, same as what I'm doing. And next year we'll record them both audio and we'll do it. We'll release them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll release them at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
We'll do that.
I'm in.
You best get writing then, pal, because you've got some catching up to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's brilliant. We'll have to sit down and have a proper conversation about that. So yeah, you've got that to look forward to next year. You've got both mine and Fraser's story time coming next year, which will be just an audio version of us talking about our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
Sweet. I know there's a podcast about it, but there's only so much you can cover in an hour length podcast. Yeah. So
I forgot this when we did my story. I thought I'd get a lot more detail in. At the time, absolutely flew by.
Yeah, it does.
That's the problem. And afterwards, you actually think, "Oh, I wish I'd have said this, and I wish I'd have said that." And that's why sometimes it's good to have it written down, have notes and stuff when you're doing the talking, because it just goes out of your head, doesn't it?
Well, it's stuff you don't want to. I think the problem is so I could easily sit here and reel off my entire life to you. However, because there's no structure to it, the story's not going to follow. It's just going to be bits from all over the place until the whole story's there, and then the listener would then have to make a puzzle out of all the random stuff to get the full story, if that makes sense. Whereas if we do it this way, we are giving the listeners an actual journey. They're going to go from the beginning to where we are now.
Yeah.
And I just think that'd be a better listening experience for people. But yeah, so we'll have to get on with that for definite.
Yeah, I've got a notebook downstairs. I think I'll start when I go downstairs this evening.
Sweet. It could be a short story. It could be a long story. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But But weirdly enough, so as I was thinking about this, so as I was listening to the Fifth File, I was thinking about like my education at school and like drug education. Can you remember your drug education at school?
There wasn't any drug education because at the time we'd gone through like LSD back in the 70s, and cannabis was being smoked, but it wasn't prevalent.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the 90s and the 2000s. It wasn't talked about in school whatsoever.
See, I think that's a massive issue, mate. I don't know if it's changed now. So if it has changed, please comment, let us know that it's changed. Because we don't know. We're not at school anymore.
Yeah.
But all I can remember from being in school is that all they ever taught you were it's addicting, that drugs are bad, and that you'll get in trouble. That's it. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
They don't teach you about like the financial strain it's going to have on you. They don't teach you about the things that you could possibly be getting involved with through drugs. They don't
Breaking
explain
your families.
Yeah, they don't explain the torment and torture you put yourself and your family through. They do not explain to you what the feeling of like withdrawals are or coming off these substances. Like and I'll think it because when I was listening to it, I'm thinking, wow, like this is really, really powerful stuff. Like if I were a kid, but back years ago when I used to take drugs, if I'd have heard that story, I'd have probably stopped because it was so inspiring. And I'm like, fucking, like this is what teachers should be doing. Teachers should get people like that into the schools to teach drug education around drug use.
Yeah. The thing is, you can't teach what you don't know. And you can't take somebody where you haven't been. And it's all right doing it from a medical perspective, but people need to hear it from a personal perspective. From when I was going through withdrawal, I honestly thought I was dying. I never thought I'd get through it. And it is horrendous. The pain is like nothing you've ever had. And you just feel sick all the time. It's just horrendous. And if I could have heard somebody talking about that, it might have changed my life.
Yeah, that's
right.
Go on, sorry.
You can't actually say that it would definitely, because people are weird. We do weird things.
Yeah. But I don't know, do you think, because deep down, obviously when you're going through this, like, you're getting told by health professionals, you're getting told by teachers, obviously if you're at that age, you're getting told by numerous people that have never had these experiences, that you just sit there thinking to yourself, why the fuck do you know?
Yeah.
Like, I hate that, me. So, a little quick story. Back when I worked in Leeds and I had my first ever, like, severe, like, my mental health were playing up a bit, and stuff from my past were coming back to really, really, really getting to me. I got this therapist, right? Well, it was like a counsellor more than a therapist. And they're talking to me, and they're great, they listen, they talk to you, but then after 3 sessions, I was like, I can't do this for you anymore.
Yeah.
They were like, why? I'm like, you don't know what you're on about. You've not mentioned to me once on how it actually feels.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You've never been through it. They're from a very, very... It's fresh out of uni shit, innit? You get that degree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come out of uni and you think you fucking know it all. And it's like, realistically, you ain't going to teach me nothing about my mental health and my drug use because you've never seen it. You've never been through it. And it is completely different to listen to someone that's actually done it and been there. I so wish I had that person in. I mean, I kind of did. In a sense. So I have a friend called Jonathan who, so he'd obviously done all this like drugs and that in his past and stuff. Obviously, like, he still smokes weed and that to this day, but he always told me the dangers of everything. He never just were like, oh, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He always explained every angle. I mean, we smoked a lot of weed together and we'd stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning talking bollocks. But he wasn't the sort of person that if he knew I were going to like buy some heavy drugs off someone, he'd sit me down, he'd talk to me first, and he'd make sure I know what the fuck I'm getting into.
Yeah.
He was good like that. He was a really good friend. He's gonna be in my story anyway. There's a few people like that have kind of had an impact, but not to the extent that we're talking about, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I just wish they'd fucking sort the education system out for stuff like that.
Absolutely. I think I've always been a person that doesn't like to say no to things.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to get the opportunity to try something else, well, I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
I did it with all the drugs all the way through. Every step was a step further into the web, really. And I never had any idea what the next step was going to involve. Not just on what the feeling was like, but it was going to be like afterwards.
Mm.
And I had some really bad times on LSD, on the withdrawals. And I never actually enjoyed doing that. The only reason I wanted to do LSD is because the Beatles had done it.
Yeah.
And I thought, if John Lennon's been there, well, I want to know what it's like. And that's why I tried it. And there's a story behind each of the drugs, why I went deeper and deeper, which I'm going to put in the book.
Yeah, I think it is like, so for me, it was more that the high wasn't good enough. Each thing I took, like, the high wasn't as good as the next. So yeah. I just had to keep upping it. But cocaine's really the only one that I felt like real withdrawals from. Like,
yeah,
I did not enjoy. And the scabbing of your nose is just horrendous. Dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty. When he was explaining it in that book, I didn't go into the depths he went, but
yeah,
I was just sat back and I thought, do you know what? I remember that. I remember where you'd snot out a loogie and fucking bit of scab stuck on the end of it, and then blood would start coming out. You're like, for God's sake! I
went through jars and jars of Vaseline, just going like this, just constantly putting it up my nose because of the scabbing.
Yeah,
it was horrendous.
Disgusting, man. But yeah, it'd be cool. Like, it'd be really cool. I'm looking forward for us doing them now.
Yeah, me too.
Right, so the whole purpose of today's podcast, the actual topics we wanted to speak about and we are going to speak about is, so there's two questions I want you to think about. Don't answer them yet. Is, do you feel fulfilled, and what is success to you? So we'll start off with success. So what, to Fraser, what is success?
What is success? I like to think that success is my home life. I'm not going to bring work into it, really. If I'm looking after my family, the boys and my wife,
yeah,
and we've got a good standard of life, I consider myself successful. If I'm able to help people through doing things for them and completing that, I think that's success.
Yeah,
in a nutshell.
I'd pretty much say the same thing. So the first thing I always say to someone if they ever ask me what's success to you, I will always say, success to me is having a happy and healthy family. That's it. If my kids are happy, if my partner's happy, if my mum's happy, my family, then I feel successful. However, I do also measure success in the way of like progression in yourself. So I currently do not feel successful.
Yeah.
And that is because I'm at the stage of where I am in my career. I'm at the stage of where I am in my home life. Although it's all really good, my family are happy and healthy. It's not where I want to be. I want to move further and further into the career I'm doing. You know, I want to be the best at that as I can be. But then I also want my children to have the best lives they can. And once I've provided my kids with the best life they can have, taught them the lessons that they need to know in order to have a successful life themselves, then I will have felt success. Once that's happened and I die, I'm successful. I don't think I'll ever find success until the last days.
Yeah.
Because my success will constantly be based on not only my progression, but my family's progression as well.
Yeah.
That's not to
You
say
see,
if my kids struggle that I'm going to be like, oh, well, that's fucking up my success, blah, blah. None of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if I teach them the right lessons, as long as I know in my deep down that I have taught my kids everything that I know that will get them through life,
yeah,
I've
absolutely.
succeeded in that field. If I become a owner of a care company, I have succeeded in that field. If I live till I'm 50, I've succeeded in that field. I think it just splits. To me, it's split up into thousands of different things.
Of course it is. My big thing that I really want to do more than anything is get my collection of poems in a book. And I will do that because I've got something like 80 poems now.
Yeah.
So I've got actually a decent amount of work there. And that's what I'm striving towards. I love my job, don't get me wrong. And I do want to do my job to the best of my ability. But for a personal thing,
Yeah.
the poetry is number one. And then probably the book, even though that's just come up. And I feel like I'm quite successful at the moment in the things that I'm doing because I'm getting to share my poetry in front of people.
Yeah.
And people are listening to what I've got to say. And I'm getting a lot of good attention through it. But personally, it's for me. It builds me up. It makes me feel happy. And I get a lot of all my mental issues that I go through, I now put down in a poem.
Yeah.
And it gets it out of your head.
And I'd probably say, like, there's two different examples. You feel successful because you're doing the things that you want to do. However, even though I'm doing the things I want to do, I still don't feel successful because I'm not at the place I know I can be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that does.
Which then obviously brings it on to, do you feel fulfilled?
In some parts of my life, I'm very fulfilled. There are parts that I do want to get more out of. And to get more out of it, I've got to put more into it. Just started the lead role at work. And I find it very, very stressful. And it's like a whole new learning game again because I was at a point in support where I knew where I was. I knew exactly what I had to do. I knew the next thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm back in the position that I was in 4 years ago, where I've got a whole load of new things to learn. I've got to learn about how to just be that next person.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm at the very beginning.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. I mean, in work, I don't feel fulfilled, but then again, I don't think I ever will, because there's always something different to do. I think so. At the moment, with what I'm trying to do is obviously, like, as you've probably all seen, I'm trying to use my mental health and the things I go through daily and will probably go through for a long time. Things I've gone through in order to, I'm using it to hopefully inspire other people to know that they're not alone. So that's at its baby stage at the moment. So again, I don't feel fulfilled in that. It's weird, man. It's so weird. It sounds right morbid when I say I don't feel successful. I don't feel fulfilled. Don't get me wrong. I am happy. I'm happy, but I'm not where I want to be. So. Yeah. Again, fulfillment to me will be when I finally got my house. We finally bought a house together, me and my partner. I've got my bike license. Then I've got my car license. Then there's just so many fucking things in my head that I have to do before I can sit back and say, yeah, I'm happy with that now.
Do you think it'll get to a stage it will be fulfilled?
No, never.
Or do you think, I think with you, Scott, I think it's, you get to a point and you achieve it, and then you think, hold on, there's more.
Yeah.
And then you put a whole lot of new goals, and you work towards them. And then you think, I'm going to be successful then, and I'm going to be content then. And then you think, hold on, and it's just an ongoing thing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, it's always great to have new goals, but you've got to celebrate your wins as well, Scott.
Yeah, you do, and I do that. I celebrate my wins, but it's very short. Tyson Fury said it the best. You know, when he beat Vladimir Klitschko, and he won the world heavyweight title, and he said from a kid that's what he wanted to do. Then he went into a back room and he literally just turned around and was like, "Well, is this it?"
Yeah,
Because I feel when you succeed in something, you have that glory for a very small moment. Now, it's important to remember that moment, and it's very important to celebrate that moment with the people around you. However, I believe a lot of people get fixated on that moment and think,
and never move on.
yeah, and think because I have become successful in this one thing, I don't need to move on. You know, we know people personally that are happy in the position that they're in. And to me, I'm not saying to them it isn't, but to me, that's a sad existence. I can't be the sort of person that can't see that can't see more out of this short life that we have.
Yeah,
It's one of them, like, if you can't see past what you're already achieving, then you're only going to eventually get bored of that thing. You're going to get to the point where you're like, is this it? Again.
absolutely.
You're going to think, is this it? But because you haven't built up that mentality and motivation to constantly look for the next thing, even though you're saying, oh, is this it? Instead of thinking, oh, is this it? Right, what's next? You're thinking, oh, is this it? Oh, this is shit. Oh, I feel shit now.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm depressed.
Do you realise that if there weren't people that pushed themselves and went on and bettered themselves, as humanity, we'd all be living in caves?
I'd prefer that.
But it's true. If there weren't people that were motivated and wanted to better where they live and who they are,
yeah,
we would be in the dark ages.
Yeah.
It's through forward-thinking people with vision. That's what people need, vision. They need a vision to go into rather than just bumbling about from day to day.
Yeah.
And for a long time, Scott, I used to be the person that was content doing the same thing. And now I want more.
And I think it is important. It's important to realise that. Obviously, a lot of people, like, I'm not saying that when you get to that stage, there's no turning back, because there clearly is. You've done it. I just don't know. I think it's quite. We only get to do this once. We don't get a second chance at this.
Not dress rehearsal.
If you're not gonna, I always say so. Again, I'm gonna bring a quote. The Rock said this, and I've lived by it for a while now. And he says, if you're not willing. If you're willing to go to work and work for someone for 8 hours, you better be willing to go home and work on yourself for the same amount of time. And it's so true. So many people just give. You know, again, we've got friends that do this. They just fucking give to work, and that's all they do with their entire life.
Yeah.
But they don't work on themselves at all. And because of that, people have misconceptions of them people because we don't know that real person. All we know is the professional person. All we know is the person that comes to work. Now, you can't be your complete self when you're at work. It's impossible, because we have rules to abide by. We have policies and procedures and stuff we can't say at work, things we can't do at work. So how are you supposed to have people accept you for who you are when you have this constant fucking barrier in front of you that blocks people from seeing the real you?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just, I couldn't do that to myself. And I couldn't do it to my friends. I could easily have come to work, met you, and you only known the work version of me. But instead, I've brought you into my life. I've brought you into me in a way. You now know what happens in here. You know what happens in my day-to-day life. And it's healthy. It feels good. It feels good to have people around you that not only know what you do at work, but they know about your life and they want to be a part of it and help you with it. It's great. It's weird, but it's great.
It's give and take, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know me. You know me as well. You know the things that make me take. You know the things that annoy me. And you
I know the things that... I know them. I know the things that annoy you, all right?
And you use them. You use them. But I love that relationship. That's what it is, isn't it? It's relationship.
Yeah. It's very important. It's really, really, really important. There's so many people that hopefully, and I hope the people, I mean, of course, the person that's listening, the person listens, they're going to know who we're on about, but I hope they realise that it's true, and the more they open themselves up to the world, the more accepted they'll be. But it's shit. We're probably going to get so much shit now for that,
Yeah. Well, I've got 10 days off, so maybe it'll calm down.
Fuck you. I don't.
Oh dear, you could take the slack.
Yeah, I'll just tick that one off. So Fraser's notes to Scott. Yeah, I've ticked that one off. Thanks for that one, Fraser. I knew you wouldn't say it yourself. But yeah, man, it's all fun and games, isn't it? We all enjoy his work life as much as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't worry, mate. Give it a couple of months, you'll have these panda eyes like me.
Panda eyes.
26-year-old, and I look like I'm about 50, so
yeah,
must be doing something right. But yeah, so obviously today's episode is going to be a shorter one than usual because, well, it just is. There's no reason really at all.
Just is.
Yeah, it's just one of them. I just want to quickly, before we go, actually, I want to give a massive congratulations to Keon, who just got number 2 in the iTunes charts. The only person above him was the new song by RD Flowers. Now, considering that RD is blown the fuck up, that's not bad at all, man. That's amazing. But yeah, mate, I just want to say congratulations to you.
Congratulations, Keon.
Keep doing what you're doing, inspiring people and creating the music that you are. And one day you'll have your big moment on those big stages again, on the Billboard charts, hopefully. And yeah, well, I'll just don't forget me when you get there, or Fraser. We was the first ones to have you on podcast, so fuck all other ones. But anyway, but yeah, man. So obviously, make sure you follow all the links in the description. The YouTube page, we're trying to push as hard as we can, so please go subscribe to the YouTube page, put notifications on so you know when we upload, put the Instagram follow thingy-majigly on, and we have been The Chat Down, and peace.
Yo, back in the day I was young, I ain't a kid no more. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Before I fell in love and smoked my first cigarette. Before I broke it up and said that I don't give a shit. Before I gambled all my money in the hope I'd win. I'd wanna make it out, but now I wanna make it in. But what's a vision while they wishing I'ma serve this? And what's a name without the purpose? 2021, yeah, they know my verses, so I'ma speak it every day until they heard this. They never met another like me that deserved it. Been around the map and now I'm back putting work in. But that's the difference between you and I was on the grind while the others were at you and I. Few mottos, but do or die. A couple brothers got me through in life. Fewer fights really got me doing fine. Yo, I'm old school like Segas, shell suit tracksuits, Walkers, Tazos and Reebok trainers. Before phones we had pages, we used to vibe to this music for ages. Yo, spin a vinyl and play a tape, and on a weekend we'd link out at the raves. Flew out out to Mali, I did it on stage, man. It was all good back in the day, but I just wish that it could happen like them. I'd wake up with no regrets, but then I'd do it again. 10 years put in work, nothing worthless. And 10 more to the day is what my word is. Even though this jungle is a circus that don't serve us, I kept it real every day, so now I earned it. So when I finish, no, I run it like I'm Persian. I'm just trying to say I'm just an ordinary person, yo.